200 million XRP, worth over $600 million, has just been moved by Ripple. The transaction was first spotted by rARVLN and immediately raised questions across the crypto community. Was Ripple selling? Was it a liquidity move? Or was it just another shuffle of internal funds? And more importantly, what does this mean for XRP's already fragile price movement? Let's break this down carefully. At exactly 17:23 Universal Time, coordinated on August 18th, Ripple's rJqiMb wallet, which XRPScan marks as Ripple 1, sent 200 million XRP to the address rJqiMb. On the surface, rARVLN flagged the destination as unknown. However, digging deeper, XRPScan labeled that receiving wallet as Ripple 50. In other words, the funds did not leave Ripple's control. It was an internal move. Now, why is this important? Because Ripple is known to use these internal transfers for several purposes, providing liquidity to its settlement operations, funding institutional deals, or sometimes just shuffling reserves. But there's a pattern here that analysts are paying close attention to. The Ripple 50 wallet has historically sent received funds to another unmarked address, raRVLN. From there, large amounts of XRP often end up on Binance, which naturally raises suspicions of potential sales. So while the 200 million XRP currently remains in Ripple's possession, history suggests that at least part of it could eventually make its way to exchanges. If that happens, the market impact could be significant, especially at a time when XRP's price is already under pressure. Let's put the timing into context. This move came during a rough start to the week for the broader crypto market. Bitcoin itself dropped to $114,700 as long-term holders shifted $3.7 billion worth of BTC. That market-wide downturn did not spare XRP. In fact, it briefly dipped below the critical $3 support level before rebounding slightly to $3.01 at the time of reporting. This rebound, however, does not change the bigger picture. XRP is still down 21.6% from its recent high of $3.66, which it reached on July 18th. Analysts have been clear about the importance of XRP regaining the $3.30 to $3.40 range. Without that, the token risks further declines, with potential downsides to $2.60. On the flip side, there is strong support at $2.81, where 1.7 billion XRP is concentrated as a demand wall. So, when we connect these dots, the narrative becomes clear. Ripple is moving large amounts of XRP internally, but the historical pattern shows that such transfers often precede sales through exchanges like Binance. If those tokens are indeed offloaded, it would add more selling pressure to an already struggling XRP price. And this is happening at a time when the broader market is shaky and investor confidence is fragile. But there's another layer to consider. Ripple has often defended such moves as necessary for liquidity management and to support its payment solutions. The company has long argued that its XRP holdings, when used strategically, strengthen the ecosystem. The challenge, however, is that transparency is limited. Even though the blockchain lets us see the flows, we cannot always be certain about the purpose behind them. This lack of clarity leaves room for speculation. And in volatile markets, speculation itself can drive price swings. One thing that stands out is how dependent the XRP community remains on Ripple's decisions. Every time Ripple shifts hundreds of millions of tokens, the market reacts, regardless of whether those tokens are intended for sales or not. It is a reminder that despite being a decentralized asset, XRP supply dynamics are heavily influenced by the company's treasury management. Looking forward, the big question is, will these 200 million tokens eventually hit exchanges? If they do, we could see downward price pressure intensify, especially if XRP fails to reclaim the $3.30 to $3.40 zone. On the other hand, if Ripple is simply restructuring reserves or preparing for institutional deals, the impact might be minimal in the short term. In any case, this move underscores a familiar theme in the crypto market. Large-scale transactions by big players often come at moments of heightened market vulnerability. For traders and holders, the key is to watch where the Ripple 50 wallet sends the funds next. If raRVLN and then Binance appear in the chain, that could be the signal for increased caution. So, what we are seeing here is not just a transfer of digital assets. It is a reflection of the ongoing tension between Ripple's internal operations and the market's interpretation of those moves. For now, Ripple holds the 200 million XRP, but the story is far from over. The next destination of those funds may well determine the direction of XRP's price in the coming weeks.